Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Prime Pediatric Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Dr. Skip Weiss, and I have an awesome guest with me today. I have Carlo Chincarini from Australia, and I can't wait to talk to this guy. He is the king and queen maker of Australia. And Carlo, how are you doing today? It should say morning for you. How's everything going, brother?
I'm super well. It's such an honor. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and ready to get stuck into some juicy stuff.
You know, we've had a pretty good wrap here a couple weeks ago when we were talking about what you do, how everything works, and we were talking about chiropractic in general. And I firmly believe that every chiropractor needs to have a coach. Every chiropractor needs to have a coach outside of chiropractic to help them on their business, help them on themselves, help them on their mindsets. And can you dive into right now, Carlo, like right off the bat? I want to call you Dr. Carlo because I interview a lot of docs. So, but you're the doctor of making kings and queens. So, can you dive a little bit into right off the bat what you do and give us a little bit of history and background on yourself, brother?
Yeah, 100 love to. So basically, I do two things. I help people generate more money and create the king and queen version of themselves. It's pretty boring, right? Some people find it boring. I think it's a great mission because the so many people in business we go into and we learn how to do the work, right? We learn how to be chiropractors, doctors, and we are excellent at that, and that's our zone of genius. The issue is with that the doctor in us needs the business or salesperson in us in order to be able to be the best doctor that it can be, because if we have our own practice, our own clinic, we need to get people in, right, on a consistent basis so that we can do what we're called to do. So my background is I grew up in Italy and moved to Australia when I was 14. And my very first business was I actually ran a sport and fitness program for kids. And my whole idea was to help people become the very best that they could be. And I wanted to use an environment that played a huge part in my life, which is sport, to do that. And I ran it for 10 years. And this is why I'm passionate about Money Skip, because I was the guy that was passionate about the work, wanted to make an impact, wanted to leave a legacy, wanted to help other people become the best they could be. But I had one huge block, which was I never developed a business mindset. I was a like a teacher, I was a coach running a business. I was never a business person being a coach, right? Or having that balance. And for 10 years, I really struggled financially, and all the emotional benefit that was in the work was really offset by the financial struggle that I had. And that financial part, because my money wasn't right, my programming around money and my identity around money wasn't what it needed to be,
Mhm.
or wasn't really strong enough so that it would allow the, let's say, in session or in class time to be the best it could be. I went through 10 years of real financial struggle. And until that changed, the impact that I really wanted to make, and I think a lot of people relate to this, the impact that you really want to make, unless the money is there and unless that business part of you is there to support that, the impact gets unfortunately impacted in a negative way.
Yeah, it can be daunting being somebody that built their business from the ground up, almost went bankrupt in the first 8 months, been through financial issues, was on Medicaid, government assistance to support his family, food stamps, welfare. Like I've been
Yeah.
through all of that, and I understand what you're saying. And it can be incredibly docs out there. It can be incredibly detrimental to your mental health because you're
Mhm.
trying to make this massive impact, right? And
Mhm.
you see your family being impacted negatively. You're not making the positive impacts. And that's what at least it seems like. But really, you're
Mhm.
making the positive impact. But making positive impacts. And if the foundation is going to last, it has to take time to create. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen quickly. It just doesn't work that way. And you talk about this, and you talked about it being in the moments of despair. What happened there, Carlo? What took you into that valley, and then what brought you back out? Where did you actually
Mhm.
find your inner king?
Mm. It's such a great question. I was reflecting on this probably the other day, and uh, it got to the point when the pandemic rolled around here in Australia. It was a bit different from you guys in the States. It was brutal. That's what it was. And I lost my business. Like, uh, just one press conference, I lost 10 years of work, and I was a full-time dad for 8 to 12 weeks roughly. And man, I my back was up against the wall. I lost everything. Right. It was just starting to get good, starting to move through. I lost everything. And in that moment, I knew I had to make a decision. Right. And it's simple as that. And it's crazy how simple it is. I heard recently someone said that the biggest lie we've told is that it's just not that simple.
Yeah,
It is that
it
simple.
actually is that
That
simple.
that decision, just making a decision, actually choosing to step into that king. And I had to work on a lot of stuff, right? Because, and we're going to touch on it later, a little bit later, around the programming. But I had to go beyond the program, because there is a king and queen version of us, but there's that version of us that is insecure, and just playing small, and that weaker energy, that I work with people to break through that very quickly and powerfully. Because as soon as we break out of that and you step into that new energy, that confident you, that certain you, that powerful you, life begins to change very, very quickly.
It does. And you're 100% correct. Like that was where mine it was a switch. I had to make the switch, and I know you did too. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to pity you. I'm not going to give you sympathy. I'm going to give you empathy and dive in with you and actually figure out how the hell you did it, because you had a 10-year business and then COVID hits, and you were one of the collateral damages of COVID, right? And
Mhm.
the way that your country locked itself down and pretty much force locked itself down for 12 months. I mean, it was crazy down there. And I know New Zealand was almost worse, right? So, and
Mm,
I don't even know if New Zealand's out of their stuff yet. But the
mhm,
tough
mm,
part is then is you saw 10 years of work, a decade of dynamic work just done.
mhm,
So what changed in you, Carlo, right off the bat? Because I know what changed in me, and this isn't about me. So what
mm,
changed in you to make you flip that switch to go from that easy form of self-pity, that easy form of just saying, woe is me, my life sucks. I'm gonna sit in
mm,
this crap soup and just wallow in it.
mhm.
What was the turning point? What did you have to do? How did you reprogram your brain?
Yeah, for sure. And it was easy to do that too, right? Because a lot of people would have just gone down and started blaming other people. I've always had the foundation to that there was something more. And at that point, I mean, the decision was easy. It was just to sit there and do that, or actually make something of it. And I always believe that things happen for us in one way, shape, or form. And look, in terms of that programming, I started creating new habits. Right, I knew about meditation, I knew about the mind, but I didn't really know about the mind. So I went deep and understood, like, eh, why is it that we do what we do? I've always took a keen interest in human behavior, and why does someone do what they do? Like, what is that all from? Is it just just spur of the moment, just, oh yeah, just do it, what we do, and or is it actually something deeper? And so I started looking into a concept about around identity, right? What makes someone them, right? And I started looking into personality, because I know personality creates my personal reality. So I thought, okay, how can I change my personality? How can I change my personal reality? How can I change who I am? And I went from being the insecure person, crap around money, didn't like selling, struggled with marketing and all that kind of stuff, no discipline, never really, I don't know if you know much around the archetypes of the human side, of the male psyche, the king, warrior, lover, and magician. And I felt like I was very much into a lot of that lover kind of thing, but never really, I was scared of developing that strong, healthy, masculine warrior energy within me, which everyone needs, by the way, but we're too scared because we're scared of the opposites, right? We're scared of money. So what do? We just, oh, no, no, money's not important. No, 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 I'm happy with little. It's just this lie that we tell ourselves to stay comfortable, because of our programming from our early years, maybe, or from our society, the people around us that influenced us. So the I became the person that I knew I had to be, and this didn't happen overnight. This took time to really develop, because
Self-study, everything.
yeah, because it's a reprogramming, rewiring journey that we take on, and it's challenging. It's not a one day thing, it's an everyday kind of process. And and literally just shifting my thoughts, my internal subconscious patterns, that if something happened, my normal response, or the grain, or what everything that felt right about a certain situation actually wasn't what it seemed to be, because it was keeping me playing small and keeping me comfortable in a certain area. And I
Mhm.
feel so many people are like, oh, I just been sitting with something, or feeling this way, feeling that way, and this is what I want to. My challenge to that is that if you stay in your feelings about what you know to be right now, you're just going to keep rinsing and repeating and copying and pasting the same results. And the question, at least for me, and I get people to ask themselves, is, hey, that's totally fine, but are you happy with the results that we've been getting? If the answer is no, then we have to reprogram our North Star, internal compass around our program, and say, okay, let's go through this process. I know initially it's not going to feel right, it's not going to feel good, it's going to go against everything that you feel, but ultimately, what results are those habits going to create? And
I
if
think
you can,
that's go ahead.
yeah, and if you can hold on to that North Star and cross that river of change where everything seems to be like, oh my God, like what's happening? Nothing makes sense. But if you can just hold on through the storm, like a lighthouse in the middle of an ocean, when the storm is, and all you do is just stay through it, that too shall pass. And then the next day will come, and the calm seas will arrive, and you'll be like, oh my God, that was worth it.
I think that you hit a massive point, and you guys need to go back and listen to this because he said that your personality creates your reality. So, how are you personally putting yourself showing up every day? What's your mindset like? Like, I've been a creature of this too, where my mindset goes to crap, my reality goes to crap. Like, that's not a good thing, guys. Like, this is a serious thing. But the other part of it is, Carlo, that I think that a lot of people we've all been taught and brought up to look at things from a perspective to look at things from a perspective of love versus masculinity and femininity,
Mhm.
and being a strong male or a strong female. And man, if we show our strength, showing our strong gender role, it sometimes pisses people off and they see it as arrogance, both male and female. So what happens then is we're taught to love on everything. Well, the thing is with that is that we push ourselves down a sympathy role. So we start having feelings towards everything. We feel kind of bad for something or we feel good for something. But what happens is we lose that aspect of having empathy towards every situation, which means you understand what's going on, both negative and positive. You understand the person's either shortcomings or how well they're doing. But then how do you get yourself involved in that position? Do the work, roll up your sleeves, and actually help or support and do it in the right way for yourself. A lot of the times in chiropractic, it's always this give, love, serve garbage, which I do resonate with. I love that. But the issue is the key word in there is love, where you just want to love on people instead of actually stepping into your dominance. A good friend of
Mm.
mine, Don Fawcett, talks about showing up with dominance, showing command dominance, command respect. And it's the same thing from male to female. So when you're
100%.
when you're working with your clients, Carlo, where are you finding this reprogramming to grab onto that North Star? Is it a who?
Mhm.
Is it a what? Is it a how? Like, what is that just you grab onto and then allows you to push forward?
100%. I resonate hard with what you were saying. In my language, I call it higher love,
Yeah.
right? Because I made a decision a very long time ago that I know that what I'm doing, and a lot of people that have a purpose, right? They feel like they've given a purpose, a desire. I wanna be a chiropractor. I want to help people. I want to be a coach. I want to be a kingmaker. I want to help people, right? That desire, it actually is a word that derives from the Latin, right? And in the Latin, it translates to of the Father. Right now, whatever people believe in, higher purpose, magic, love, universe, whatever it is for them, the pet parrot, I'm okay with it. Whatever you believe in, but it's been given to you, right? And so because it's been given to you, it's not even yours. You're just entrusted with it. And I realized that if I want to live up to my purpose, be true to me, be true to the God that I believe in, right? I had to love people at a different level, right? And that dominance makes complete sense because unless you are a strong leader, you're grounded and you're willing to sacrifice your own uh, maybe even a sense of acceptance from other people, validation from other people, or like so posting on social media to make people laugh because all of a sudden you're liked. If you can go past that, brings a whole different level of leadership, right? And for me to answer that question, I know I went a bit of a roundabout way to it, but to answer that question, you need clarity and purpose. So the purpose, obviously, it's something that it's bigger than you, stronger than you. Like, man, I'm here, and I find a lot of confidence and confidence, certainty in knowing that this thing has been given to me. And you know what? It's going to be all right. All I have to do is get myself as who I need to be in order to serve that purpose. Because if it's been given to me, hey, it's not mine. Ultimately, hey, it's over to you, right, to make it happen. I'm here. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the abundance. I'm ready to help. But also, if you don't develop that identity of like, I am that strong person, right? That personality, then I feel like we're going to let down that purpose. Then with after that, it's clarity. What is it? What is that we're here to do? What is it that I'm really here to do? And from that clarity, you just know. Inside of you, you just know. But without, again, that part of you that is being programmed to succeed, we're not going to have the tools, we're not going to have that strength, that identity that is going to make that happen.
So when you dive into that program, a lot of that resonates with me being a chiropractor. And the people that I work with, the
Yes.
people that listen to this, my audience, we're chiropractors. We take care of kids, we take care of families, we go all in on these kids and families as they come in the door. And it
Mhm.
reminds me a lot of reprogramming the neurological system of the body.
Yep.
And
Yep.
thoughts, traumas, and toxins are what cause nerve irritation in the body and then delay its healing response, which makes it compensate to stress instead of adapt and fully function and heal. So what
Right.
happens now is that you start to cower, your body will start to cower from the inside out. It won't communicate properly and it starts running its own programs. And most of
Yep.
the time, Carlo, these programs are pretty shitty and they don't work right. And we start developing symptoms and these people get sick. And I
Yes.
know you can see that now in your coaching. When you're looking at somebody, you can see almost, I don't want to say a sickness, you can see the symptoms of despair there, right? So what do you
Mhm.
do to help them reprogram?
100%. So and we deal it and we see different things: wanting to quit, frustration,
Mhm.
self-doubt, insecurities, lack, scarcity. 100%. So that's where my reprogramming comes in with, right? So in what we do, we need to understand that the body acts as a subconscious mind. A lot of the behavioral patterns, emotional patterns, thought patterns, they're within our body, right? And so
Yeah, they
something happens,
absolutely are.
your body goes into a reaction.
Yep.
Someone beeps at you and you feel this rage coming out and you think like, well, I was just having a beautiful day with my kids at the beach. What the hell's going on? Right?
Mhm.
Because it's a pattern. It's happened time and time again.
Yep.
And a habit is what? It's when the body performs an action better than the mind. Now,
Yep.
this is important because if you're in business, you really need to understand this. Because in order for you to be a business owner, you need to be a creator. No two ways about it. If you're in business, you are a creator. You need to stop being in survival mode or reactive to the world around you and letting the external world dictate the internal world, how you feel. For example, let's say you have a quiet month, right? Instead of bringing in your regular $75,000, you bring in 30. All of a sudden you see that, and because you're in that survival and reactive mode mental program, what happens? You feel you feel in lack, you feel scarcity, you feel poor, you feel like insecure, you go like, oh my god, what am I doing wrong? But maybe if you were to respond to that in from a creator approach, you're more process focused, which means that now you look, okay, it might have gone down to 30, but look, I brought in two bookkeepers, we've got a new marketing department. It makes sense. We're slowing down first to do like a big kind of take off later. But if we're in survival mode, which we are, 70% of the day, humans live by the hormone of cortisol, right? Now, we talk about this stuff with our patients, but hey, we're also part of this equation too, right? So let me ask you this: if your patient parents, if your patients, right, have someone like you in their corner, who do you have in your corner that actually helps you reprogram you as the business owner? Little question, right? We'll talk about that later. So the way that I do this, I have a fairly intense approach. I'm not gonna lie, I'm an intense kind of guy. I like energy. I like to feel stuff, right? So the way that I do this with my clients is I say this: listen, we're gonna use meditation, not for the sake of meditating. Like it's not just like, oh hey, just we're gonna become monks in Tibet. That's not what this is about. This is about actually becoming aware of and reprogramming your your wealth mindset, right? Your financial, your money EQ, which is the emotional intelligence around money, but also your subconscious program around both your self-worth and money, right? Because that's a area that I focus in. So what I tell all my clients to do, we have a multiple system, like we meditate multiple times a day, right? So where most people meditate maybe once in the morning just because like, oh, I just want to start the day and feel good. I'm like, that's cool. Or they meditate at night. I'm like, if you meditate in the morning and at night, there's a massive, massive problem with that. Sure, it might make you tickle your ego, make you feel good. But what's the issue with that? Is that there are 8 to 10 hours in between the meditations, either way that you look at it, for you to go back into your program, into your scarcity, into your lack, into your self doubt, into your feeling of, I'm not worthy. Because you have 70,000 thoughts a day, and there is so much room for that to run. I mean, some overthinkers, right? They're probably like, wow, I probably have 100,000 thoughts a day. And I would agree, right? So, what we want to do is create a system where you only have 2 to 3 hours for your mind to go back into what it knows, go back into the program, right? So, because if you meditate, let's say 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, every 2 hours, right? Now, these are not like half an hour sessions. These are like little 5 minutes, right? Because you probably think like, can't do that. I run a busy clinic, $1 million clinic. I couldn't possibly do that. But I bet you have 5 minutes. I know you have 5 minutes. And if you sit there and you start to reprogram your language, your thoughts, your mind, your body to stay in that abundance. I use the example, Skip, of a high-rise hotel, right? Very quickly. Think of that elevator as your state, your mood, the level of consciousness you're in. Whether if you take that elevator, right, to level one of a hotel, what do you get? You get a room that is like basic, right? You look out the window, you see John and Susie in the hotel right next door to it because it's like right there, in their junk, eating their oats in the morning, and like cover up, John, like God, seriously. So you see that. Now, let's say you take your elevator to the middle of the hotel, halfway up. What do you get? What kind of room do you get? You get a bit of a nicer room. You might even get like the bedroom separate to the little couch area. Beautiful, right? You look out, all of a sudden, John and Susie are further down. They're not part of your reality. What's part of your reality now is probably a little bit of sunlight. You didn't get that before. A bit more of a view, and it's just a little bit nicer. But let's take that elevator to the very top, to the penthouse. Okay. Now, you step in, you have a butler opens the door for you. You didn't get that on level one, right? The handles are gold, the bathrooms are marble, you get a nice kitchen, you get someone to cook food for you. This is a penthouse. What kind of view, what kind of reality do you get? You get a reality that you see the beach, the mountains, the sunrise, the sunset, the city skyline, right? It's beautiful. Maybe even some of those low-lying fog, that's not there anymore. Why? Because you're in that penthouse. This is how people live. This is that if you can imagine it, that is a representation of life. Because when you're in shame and guilt, those are the two lowest calibrated emotional states. Shame and guilt is the lowest. It's like very basic. If you picture yourself being in shame and guilt, what kind of life do you get? You're not going to be able to reach out to people, want to sell your products, tell everyone why your clinic is just amazing. No, why? You just want to sit there and want to die to the rest of the world. You're just
Mhm.
in that shame, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in that penthouse and all of a sudden you're in abundance, you're in love, you're in joy, you're in peace, you're in bliss, you are going to attract the reality that level attracts, which cannot be John and Susie down there eating their breakfast in their junk, right? So, right, you can only attract that which is on that level.
Yeah.
Now, my thing is, what if we keep your elevator, we create a system that keeps you up there?
Yeah. What if your elevator never comes down? And then you bring other
That's
people
right. But
up there
what's the
with you.
issue? What's the
Yeah.
issue with that, Skip? That at the W Miami, there's always one kid at the bottom pushing the buttons and
Yep.
saying, I'm just going
Trying
to
to
press
bring
the
it
button,
down.
kick that.
Yep.
Gravity brings it down.
Yes,
So
sir.
what do we have to do? We have to vault it up. We have to say, hey, you can't go past level 8. You can't go past level 8. Because now what happens? Initially, when you do a meditation, when you do a money meditation, you feel incredible. You feel high. You feel light, right? But guess what? That is entertaining. Why? Because it's not your normal place. It's not where that elevator sits normally, right? You have a great month in your business. We talked about this on our other call. You make a lot of money and then you lose it. Why? Because you're not normalized to it. You're not programmed to be that guy
Yeah.
or that girl, right? So by us vaulting it up, just blocking it, can't fall any lower, multiple meditations every day, right? Affirmations as an internal system, very, very quickly, you become the person. It becomes normal to you. It becomes normal to have $150,000 month. And you're not like feeling like this is crazy. Similar as like a thermostat, right? If in your room right now, if you have a thermostat and you set it to 25 degrees Celsius, obviously use Fahrenheit, but you set it to a certain temperature, right? If it goes too high, what happens? It cools it down.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes too low and you go, oh my God, I'm poor, I'm broke. I'm working really, really hard to bring it up to that comfortable level. My question is, where is your comfortable level right now? Does it match the level of purpose and your desires? If it doesn't, then there is some work that we want to put in to create a system that actually sustains you. That's the identity. The identity sustains you.
Dude, I love it. Y'all have heard me say this on here before. How do we change neurology? How do we change neurology? The only way to change neurology chiropractically is frequency and repetition. Frequency and repetition. How often are we seeing our patients? Are we adjusting them? Are there subluxations showing up? Are there nerve root irritations showing up? It's the same thing here with Carlo. Sorry, buddy. When Carlo is talking about mind balance and getting yourself to a level. Now, I'm going to tell you, success leaves secrets. And here's the other thing, though. I'm successful. I've been successful. I've lived in abundance. And I'll tell you, the months that I'm not living in abundance, those are the months that money kind of gets crappy. And in my world, my representation of money that gets crappy might be amazing to other people. Okay. But that being said, it's where do I sit? Where do I sit in that tower? Where do I sit in that hotel? Where do I sit? Am I at the penthouse? Do I never let myself get below middle? Man, that was one of the coolest, most awesome examples, Carlo, I have heard in a very, very long time, man. I have coached at very high levels. I have paid a lot of money. And what you just said is gold. And I've never had it said to me in 14 years like that. And that was awesome. So thank you for that. That was freaking amazing. You guys need to put that on loop. And where do you place yourselves? But the thing that he's saying right here, Carlo, is it's repetition of this meditation. And this isn't just like some magic bullet. I'm sure that there is a massive amount of work that goes into your program, but it's repetition. It's getting your body back into that feeling, having that feeling constantly, having the brain in full communication with the body. So guess what? So it freaking heals. We talk about this nonstop in what we do, but you're hitting it from a business mindset, from a mental health aspect. Carlo, man, this is phenomenal. So what are the next steps that you would take? So from my perspective, being a chiro and taking care of these families, how do I take some of the skills that you're talking about? How do I put that on and try to give that to my patient? Be empathetic, get involved with them, not sympathetic, but empathetic. Get involved with them and turn them in to the king, help turn them into the queen. How do we help them from that perspective, from a provider perspective, brother?
Yeah, love that. The best thing that after working with thousands of people, right, that I figured to do this is by actually becoming that person. right? Become the result you want to see in people. Because now you start to lead not by just telling them, but if you imagine this scenario for a second. If your clients come in and they see that, hey, this guy shows up with energy, this girl, right? Shows up with energy, shows up with something. Like, what are you doing? It's something different about you. Why? Because now it's so you're embodying the king or the queen, right? You're embodying that you. And I bet that every single chiropractor out there, man or woman, king or queen, right? If when we show up for ourselves and we raise our own standards, we don't go out there telling what to do. Be the person.
Lead by
Because
example.
once you be the person, right, it's going to speak so loud and it's going to actually it, penetrate, seep down into people in a language that actually makes a difference to them because they're like, I see what you're doing. I see what are you doing? What is it? And if you can live with that, you're gonna tell them, you're gonna start having the hard conversation, right? You're going to serve them from a higher place, which means what? You're going to let go of all the maybe things that you're holding back. There is a little handbrake that you're holding. Like, oh, maybe I'm not serving at my full capacity because I'm not saying what I need to say, do what I fully need to do. Maybe you are a level 8 out of 10, which is good and is showing up in your success. But maybe that 1%, that one thing, that the way that you say, because now you have conviction, because you see it in you, it's going to give that influence, that trust, that respect, that leadership that is going to move the person from getting good to very good results to be a golden nugget, to be like, oh my God, like this person is telling everyone she because why? Because it just feels right.
Mm-hmm.
We've just moved the post on that feel right in this very, very conversation, right? So self-leadership, raise your standards. If you're going good, don't accept good. Just don't accept good. Keep striving for greatness. Everyone should strive to be the world's best chiropractor. Just be the best that you can be. And it's not, this isn't, I don't say that in a like a hey, looking out thing. I'm saying this as a looking in thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know how great you can be if you really sit there and you're like, am I living up to the standards that I know? It might be different from you, right? The same thing might be different because greatness to you can feel and look at us in a different way. But we all have that within us. Live to it.
I love it.
I
I
think
man.
let's look after itself.
Well, show up as who you want to be and who you are, right? Live in the moment and be who you are and help them. Like I remember when I went through a massive weight transition over the last year and a half, everybody was asking me, dude, what are you doing? How are you losing so much weight? How have you kept it off? How are you like, you're like melting away. That was my favorite. Like you keep losing weight, you're going to disappear. I'm like, I ain't disappearing. Okay. But they wanted to know what I was doing. I was living at a different level. And I'll tell you the months I went, so I did an experiment, guys. I did an experiment. I went to a mastermind in the beginning of December of 2021 with David Meltzer and Dr. Sean Dill and Dr. Lacey Book. And we were in the British Virgin Islands. And Dave gave us a challenge to start every day off with gratitude. So when I started that time, that like the next morning when I woke up, I started saying thank you to God for the day that I had, for what was to come, the lessons that he was going to teach me, the lessons that I was going to learn. Thank you. I did that for 3 months straight. And I just wanted to see what was going to happen. And I will tell you right now. And then what I did is I didn't do it for 2 months. I didn't do it for 2 months because I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't thank every day, if I didn't live in abundance. And it was a tremendous change in mindset and in finances for the clinic. We went from December, so from January to February to March, 6-figure collections. Took 2 months off of gratitude, dropped down to 7-figure collections. Like we're talking like $25,000 change each month. Okay. 20 to 30, all because I wasn't allowing my mind to sit at a higher level, to praise and give thanks and just be happy and abundant. And the energy in the office changed. So what did I do 2 months after that? Like right away after those 2 months, started off with gratitude right away every day. I was like, yeah, that proved it to me right there. We're back at it because my
Energy.
mind was different. My mindset was different, but it was the constant repeat to myself that one, I'm worth it. I'm worthy, and that everything I'm doing is for the betterment of everyone around me, and everything I'm doing is for the betterment of me internally as well.
Yeah.
And you resonate so much with me, Carlo, because this is exactly what we do. It's amazing. Another thing that I learned, and I'll say this to you, is that comfort is the greatest thief. When somebody's comfortable, they get comfortable at that 8th floor. They don't want to go to the 9th floor. They don't want to go to the 10th floor. But here's what happens. You get to the 10th floor and you realize what's on the 10th floor. Let's say it's downtown Austin where I took my wife for her birthday and we were in the penthouse on the 32nd floor. You don't want to go down any more floors.
Correct.
If
Correct. You
go
get
ahead.
it's same as flying first class. It's same as tasting it. You want to get programmed for that because that's now what we call the financial thermostat. Now,
Yep.
when and you give yourself different problems. Here's the thing:
Yeah, you
people are
do.
like, oh, I have a problem where I don't have enough money, or I'm paying this. Dude, go out of your way, go and buy the penthouse, give yourself a new problem.
Yeah.
Because now what? Now you're on a different frequency, you're on a different level, right? Go and buy that expensive car. Go and pay 3 grand a month for that car, right? Give yourself the problem of having to be at that level. It shifts your wealth consciousness and its energy. And I love everything that you're saying, right? Because by going into gratitude every single day, it's difficult because you're being programmed by society, by the world around you, the family that you grew up in, right? And all the voices around are gonna want to keep you where?
Down.
Comfortable with what's
Mm-hmm.
known, with
Mm-hmm.
the replicable just results. People are happy swimming in a pool of shit because their amygdala, right, is saying to them, hey, Skip, look, I know it's shit. Literally, it's shit. But guess what? You know the texture. You know what it feels like. You know how it's. We can put up with it.
We can
It's
deal with it.
crazy.
Yep.
You can do it. We make sense of mediocrity. We make sense of just enough. We make sense of level 8, as you said. But once you get a taste of it, and you make it and that's why we need to have little things all the time that keep us in that penthouse level,
Mm-hmm.
right? So whether it's your car, whether it's a nice dinner, whether it's surrounding yourself in things that match that reality, to go down to economy after you've just traveled the world in first.
It's
But
hard.
what that makes
A
it,
mind once expanded doesn't shrink. And it's the same
yeah.
thing with a wallet. Once a wallet in a bank account is expanded, it doesn't shrink. Because what happens is you start giving yourself the problem, not the problem. You give yourself the opportunity to pay the bill for something expensive.
Mm,
You give
mm.
yourself the
But
opportunity.
now, yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but now what's the issue that is going to go through your listeners' minds? The ones that are winning, they're like, yeah, bro,
Yeah.
preach, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens to the ones with the money mindset from their mom and dad who said, "Oh no, no, look at all those people that are just bragging about money. Oh, they're just showing off around money."
Yeah.
That's the issue that is big right now, because there's going to be people that like it logically, but when they step in to do it, what happens? They go back into the program.
You shrink.
Go,
Yep.
right? And they just hold inside. And that is where you have to pick something that triggers you. Ask, why does it trigger you? Like if I tell you, like, Skip, and I say this to everyone, I'm a dirty, filthy salesperson and I want to make money. I'm honest about it. I like money.
Mm-hmm.
It makes my life better, it makes everyone's life better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I say that, people get madly triggered. My question is, that's cool, but why? Why are you getting
Subconscious.
triggered by money?
Yep, they've basically developed a negative connotation to income. They've developed a negative connotation to status. They've developed that
Mm,
this is why I'm here is because I don't make enough of this. When really what they need to realize is
yeah,
money and finances is an energy, and it has to move. It
yeah.
has to stay congruent, and you have to move it up. So when you have this, and I was going to ask you that question that you asked me. I love it when it gets turned. Is what do you do when somebody has the negative mindset when they hear money and they're like, man, like my daughter right now, she's in a finance class. She asked me questions. This was a month ago when school started. And I said, honey, I'm going to give you answers that your financial teacher is not going to agree with. And I said, first things first, he's going to ask you, is debt good or bad? You raise your hand and you tell him debt is good and see what he says. And she did, and he shrunk. And not on purpose, but he immediately he looked right at her and said, how is debt good, Peyton? How is being in debt to something good? How is owing somebody money good? And I said, baby, when he asks you that, ask him this question back. What's the difference between good debt and bad debt? What's the difference between good financial decisions that may bring debt on and bad financial decisions, which like maxing out a credit card that you can't pay back and then letting it go crazy for a year? That's not a great financial decision. Okay. But ask him these questions. Ask him, how do you shrink your way to a high savings account? It's not possible. So I started twisting her mind a little bit because she sees how dad and mom work. But this gets instilled in our kids, and it got instilled in my subconscious when I was a kid. Was to be afraid of it.
Amazing. Yeah, dude, like I'm so grateful that your daughter has someone like that in her life. Amazing. And it's credit to you because of the work that you've done, because I bet that wasn't your program.
Nope,
that wasn't your initial program.
And it wasn't until
Now,
about 5 years ago when I had my mind expanded.
perfect. So the issue that people, especially there's two things with healthcare. People in healthcare, you go into it because you're into help people with their health. Okay.
Yep.
And there is this connotation, this myth, this belief that, hey, I'm there to help people with their health. How can I take money from them?
Yep.
Poor money mindset. Because I'll tell you right now, the best way to help someone is to get them to pay a lot. Why? Because of what money means to them. It's like a thing that they hold closer. So if they pay a lot, guess what happens? They take it seriously. They're going to go and do
so high.
Right? They're more invested. I charge a lot of money because I want people to yes, I get incredible results, but also because I know that if the financial investment is significant enough, they gotta be fully into it. Now they've got skin in the game, they're gonna get results. Second thing, the way that we're taught around money. Why does someone get triggered when we talk about someone drives a nice car, or someone goes out nice dinner, has a $300,000 watch, or all those kind of things? Why? We need to ask it. That's why do you believe that? We're taught that by who and what were their beliefs? And the question is, are you running their beliefs or your own? Because everyone loves saying, Skip, I'm a free person. I create my own life. They are full of shit. And this is why. Because unless you run your own beliefs, you are living someone else's beliefs, and you are living out the result of the beliefs of other people. So you're not living your own life, baby. You are not running your own life. You're running someone else's past and reality. Now, let's say it's a mom and dad. God bless them. We love them. It's not their fault. Why? Because they were doing the same generational thing all the time.
Yep.
So someone's got to be the freaking generational change.
Yep.
I'm thinking, why the hell not? It is hard. Why? Because you've got all the beliefs, all the thoughts, all the stories, all the language. You're not going to value money if your parents were broke in a 9 to 5 and struggling with money all the time. You're simply not going to value it, are you?
No.
But if you grew up in the Rockefeller family, it'll be different, right?
Yep. You'll hate money. You'll hate money when you saw your parents struggle. You'll hate money when you were taught that money is what keeps the lights on. Money is you get into this exchange thing where if I do this, I get this. If I do this, I do that. But what happens if you aren't in even exchange, but then you still make money? Like it's such a mindset thing. It's the same thing when I parent my kids. And I love the fact that you said what is one of the biggest gifts you can get your patients to do? Make them pay a lot for their care, for their service. And it's the same thing with coaching too. I don't hesitate to pay money for coaching. Why? Because I value it so much. And this is in my mind, and I'm thinking about myself and the programs I run and the doctors that I teach. And it's like, okay, the value has to be there, and there has to be a value exchange. And it can't be $25. Like it has to be serious to them. And it has to say the word hurt or sting is the wrong thing to say, but it has to make an impact. That the
Mm.
money that they're choosing to spend on their health or on themselves or on their financial goals or on their personal well-being, like working with you, Carlo, has to impact some other part of their life. And it has to be very important. And it's huge. You knocked that out of the park, man. I love the fact you said that. Like, that is amazing. This is why I absolutely love interviewing people that aren't chiropractors and are in business and coaching, because your mindsets are just so freaking awesome, man. Like, I love it. So, Carlo, I don't mean to end this short. We went for a really long time, brother. I love this. How can my listeners learn more about you, get to know you more, man? Dive into what it is to be a kingmaker and the kingmaker coaching, or the queen maker. What do they do, buddy?
Awesome, bro. No, I really appreciate you. You can easily find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. So on Instagram, it's at the Kingmaker Coaching. Feel free to give me a follow. I love connecting with people. I don't bite very often. So but just shoot me a DM or shoot me a private message if you heard this and say, hey, just listen to Skip's podcast. And just tell me, like, if there's one thing I love knowing what stood out, because we talked a lot of fire today, and but if there's one thing that stood out for you, I'd just love to know what it was. And then on Facebook, it's Carlo Chincarini, or search the Kingmaker and it comes up with my photo. And then same on LinkedIn as well. Whatever you roll on the interwebs, reach out. I love connecting with people and building community.
Carlo, man, I sincerely can't thank you enough. Number one, for giving one of the best interviews I've had in a very long time. But number two, improving me in 45 minutes, improving me, improving the interviewer. Man, I appreciate that. And I love that. And I cannot wait to meet you in person. I'm sure we will as soon as you get off that island and get over here to the United States, or I come out there and visit you. I could do that too. And you
Yeah.
know what, dude? I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for bringing the heat, the fire, and the passion, and just dropping it with, remember this, guys, like, your personality creates your reality, and what levels you need to be at, and don't let yourself repeat. And Carlo, you're the best, man. Thank you so much. Any last parting words for my amazing listeners?
No, man, thank you. Very, very grateful for the opportunity. All the power to you, and step into that king energy.
All right, thanks, brother. Now everybody, let's go after it and get it done. Take care, everybody. Bye.